the cool thing about podcasting, just to bring it all around. That's the cool thing about what we do. We can bring those people in here and meet somewhere in the middle.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
And in the studio, because when it's in your house, they're like, it's his house. It's no big deal.
It looks a little more professional when they're coming to a studio now.
Right.
Hey, we're doing a podcast,
Well, they understand.
We got a real big podcast. We're doing well now. We're getting 25,000 listeners a week. Come to my basement and do it.
Right. And they're not going to respect it as much because it's your studio. You're not paying for studio time, so it's okay if I'm late. I mean, we have one of our guests, and it's a very good friend of ours who woke up the time we were supposed to record, and you know exactly who that is.
I know where you're going.
I go, son of a gun.
Yeah.
But that's the stuff that this unfortunate. I still love it, but there are some unfortunate things of this business.
Yeah, listen, everything isn't going to be peaches and cream.
No.
Sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah, it's.
You know what else I missed too? Your Rocky poster. We got to get that for up here.
We can get that in here. I had flags. If you just go through my old social media posts, you'll see pictures of the old studio. I had flags up, and Mike busted my balls about it. So I put these flags up. I'm so proud.
You were so proud of it. I was just going to get that.
I had black curtains up. This studio was not that far removed from what my studio looked like in my house. But I had these black curtains with flags hanging down, podcast flags. I had the big banner up against the wall, and it looked good.
It looked real good.
And the shitty thing is these lights you see on the ground, they were like the last piece of the puzzle that I always wanted to get. I finally get them, and we move.
Yeah.
And we move. So we brought them over here to the studio. But
you hung all the flags.
I hung all the flags backwards.
And took a picture of it.
Yeah. And said, hey, look how proud I am. Oh, they're backwards, dickhead.
I said, looks real good, but they're backwards. It's field front. You just texted me back like, motherfucker.
I was like, I had to fucking take them off and put them all back on. It was just a pain in the ass.
The funny thing is, too, you said, the thing I was most pissed off about was, he goes, you were right. Yes, I was right.
You were 100% right. Because I took them out of the package, hung them up. That's all I did. But we also had, in some of our earliest sponsors, I think we should throw a shout out to some of our earliest sponsors. Caffeine has been with us from the very beginning.
With us from the beginning.
Psy Cigars.
Psy Cigars, the muffin.
Oh, Performance Muffins. Angela.
That's another funny story.
Oh, who had the Performance Muffin? Was it Adam? Bert? So Performance Muffins are wonderful.
Yeah.
They're gluten free and they're very, very tasty. But you got to heat them up in a microwave.
Heat them up, yeah.
You got to heat them up in a microwave. That's the trick to them. And Adam took one.
Yeah.
And he's eating. He goes, bro, I couldn't chew. I couldn't. My mouth just dried up.
But if you remember, after one of the shows, we were in your kitchen. We were talking to your wife, and she's like, I got these Performance Muffins. You want one? And I was starving. I don't think we ate that morning. So I was starving. So I'm eating a muffin on the way home. And, of course, it wasn't heated up. So I'm eating it on the way home. And I call you. I said, Kev, I got to tell you something. And you're like, oh, no, what? I said, your wife's muffin tastes great. You go, Jesus Christ, I thought you were quitting the podcast.
That's exactly right.
But see, that's the friendship that we have is we can say shit like that to each other.
Yeah, it gets a little dark sometimes. It gets a little dark. But your first episode as a co-host was Tommy Wall.
Tommy Wall.
The suffering of a
small business
owner. And how did that feel? How long did it take you to get your bearings?
And we tell everybody, you forget after a little while that the mics are even in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I caught myself. And when you brought me in to interview me, it was different. But the first time that I was sitting there and actually had to ask questions, we always have the question list, but we don't go off of that list.
Not all the time.
So I felt a little pressure to interject a question somewhere, to be part of it and to try to,
It has to be dynamic. It has to be.
Like with us too, and we have to guide people.
Mm-hmm.
Once you do that great too. Once you see it going a different way, we have to interject something to bring it back on track. And that's the one that's when I realized during the small business episode of how we have to wrangle these people, get them back on the course to where we're going.
The hardest thing that I ever learned in podcasting was how to listen. It's easy to, just a little, there's a list over here of stuff that we're going to talk about today. And, not to be robotic. It's like, did anybody speak to you the same way you feel about the connection? It's you have to ask it in a conversational way, but you also have to listen to what they're saying, and something may jump out.
But see, that's the thing with having a co-host too, because I could tell, like, not when you're zoning out, but when you got something on your mind, like you write down all things, and when I see that pen go to the paper, I know that you're not totally focused on what someone's saying. Mm-hmm. So that's when I have to perk up, and generally I'll ask the next question after that. It's because you're, like I said, you're not zoning out, but you're concentrating on writing something down for later in the show.
Right, because so when we do the endings of the shows.
What we learned today.
Yeah, what did we learn today? That is done on the fly. Yep. And sometimes I get into the story and I forget. Yeah. I'm like, oh, and halfway through, I'm like, shit, I'm not writing anything down.
Well, that's why I see when you start writing stuff, that's when I know, to actually step up and try to say something.
But it becomes a talent. It becomes a learned talent.
I don't know if we could be considered talent at all.
Well, it
becomes a behavior.
the talent of it is to know how to guide that conversation, because many podcasters start their thing like, well, I'm a great conversationalist. Yeah, but try carrying on a conversation for an hour or 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not interview and interrogation.
No, it's difficult sometimes, and make it entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
At the end of the day, you want to entertain people. You want to wake them up, but you want to entertain them.
Yeah. We're not doing it for the money.
Maybe someday we are.
Yeah.
Now, that first episode, was it eye-opening? Was it something that you felt that, okay, it's not beyond my realm, or it's something I can learn?
It's definitely something I can learn. I'm not afraid to jump into anything. And like I said, you make it easy. You're the interviewer. You're the one, and I'd say all the time, you do all the prep work. Yeah, without a doubt. 100%. Kevin does all the prep work for the show. He does everything. I just show up, and it's easy on me. And I'd like to do more, but you're
control freak.
You're like the micromanager.
I do micromanage.
You have to do everything yourself.
Well, so there's credence to that. There is credence to that. My whole life, I could never rely on anybody.
Yeah.
My whole life. That's the way I've had to live my life. If I wanted something done, I had to do it myself. So it's a learned behavior for me. And, throughout.
And you don't feel comfortable having someone do something. Like I said, in law enforcement, if there was a job to be done, I had to do it.
If I give a job away, it means I don't care about the job.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the truth. And it's overwhelming to me sometimes.
I'm sure it is.
Like, I had to take a day off work the other day because I was just so overwhelmed with so many different things going on in my life that I just had to sit and just be quiet. It's a rarity because I go 7 days a week. Yeah. And but then it comes time to record. And I can relax when I'm in here. Leading up to it, getting here, getting the Instagram lives going and making sure everything's done. My fun time is when I get to sit down.
And that's another thing, too, is the Instagram Live is primarily new to us.
Yeah.
We never did anything like that when we were in your studio.
I've learned a lot along the way. So with this show and being on the shows that we've done, every studio I've gone in, I've looked around. And I've looked at the way they do things and how they post their social media, and some people have taught me along the way. Your brother Frank, he's real big into Instagram Live. He'd been pushing me to do Instagram Lives for a long time. I'm like, I really don't want to.
For what?
I really don't want to, but there is value to it.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
There is.
Hey, listen, we only do it for a couple minutes, but that's fun.
Yeah, it is.
Reading the comments on there, we have a lot of friends that chime in. And, I really wish we could have like a call-in show here.
Well,
I think that would be fun.
Those Instagram Lives, out of any social media post that we do, they get the most views.
Yeah.
So people, I guess that's content that they want to see. I mean, that's telling. You got to look at the analytics.
And it's funny too, because there's a lot of inside jokes that come up on there.
Yeah.
Tommy saying like Frank's Hot Corner. Frank's Hot Corner is when we go to lunch, we sit in the corner of the counter, and the counter guy's name is Frank, so we call it Frank's Hot Corner. There's really nothing to it.
Sounds like a sexual act. I'm going to give Mike a Frank's Hot Corner this week.
Well, Hot Corner is third base.
Okay.
So we just call it the Hot Corner. So that's what that whole. But anyway, let's get back to other studios we've been in.
Oh, geez. So
Matt Cox.
So Matt Cox, that was in his house. and you shit you shit in his house. So for those of you who don't know who Matt Cox is, Matt Cox did 12 years in prison. He was at one time number one most wanted on the FBI's
mortgage
list
fraud.
For mortgage fraud. He's
frauded the mortgage companies out of $50 million.
They don't know how much. They don't know how much. And he does Matt Cox podcast down in Florida, and we went down there. We're in his house. I remember walking. Here's a funny story. I remember going into his bathroom, and he had toilet paper up on a shelf.
You knocked it into the toilet.
I hit it, and it went, sorry, Matt, if you're listening to this.
Kevin's the one who knocked it.
I did. The toilet paper went right in there. I pulled it out. Thank God there was nothing in there.
I remember that.
I pull it out, and I throw it right in the garbage can. And then we went to Josh from DOC TV.
Yeah, and then we did Tommy.
And then we went cross state, MSCS. Then we did we did the
John
Elite show.
And Dowd in Tommy's studio.
Yeah, and then we did
Then we did
MSCS.
Tommy.
Then we did Lynn and Will.
Oh yeah.
Lynn and Will, the live one.
Yeah, it was the only nice day we had in Florida that day too. That morning,
we were pretty much shot by then. We hadn't slept the night before. That was the day we traveled cross country.
The day after, yeah.
Yeah. We were supposed to do one more down there, but it's podcasters. Some of them aren't the most upstanding individuals in the world.
The DOC TV. I mean, that was individual for both of us. Yeah, I thought he was going to bring us both in, but
that's kind of the reason we went down there together.
And mine never aired.
Yeah, it's poor Mike. Poor.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, so we go in there one at a time, and apparently Josh was having some marital problems.
Allegedly.
Yeah, and mine aired, and the second part was going to air, and it just never aired. There's footage of you, and there's some footage of me because I've done shows like Zoom shows that have never aired. I don't know where they go.
Shit in that house too.
Mike shit in every place we went in Florida. Every single house. It was like he had something wrong with him.
We stopped at a Walmart. I got something I ran in the bathroom too.
Oh God!
I mean, we ate good down there too. We
had a great time with Chantel.
That was a great time down there.
My God.
And that's another one we didn't bring in. We talked about old sponsors, Belladama Cigars. I mean, she was, and that was out of the blue. That came on what was it, like an Instagram Live with my brother?
Yeah, we just connected through Instagram Live, right?
And then that's when she told us. She said,
"You were outside of a bar."
We never met her before.
No, she picked us up at the airport,
and she said to us that day, she said, "I really like what you guys are doing. I'm going to give you 10% of my proceeds."
So we just started plugging the hell
just
out
like
of her.
that. Yeah. I mean, that's the type of people and the friends that we've made. I mean, Chantel, she opened her house to us,
right?
And then she got us the Airbnb over in West Palm.
West Palm, which, mind you, not all of West Palm is nice.
Yeah, we were right on the outskirts of not nice.
Yeah, so we were in the not nice area,
Exactly.
And Mike and I, we step out. We get in real late. There's nobody on the street when we get in. We get in super late, and we wake up in the morning, and I'm calling my wife. He's calling Mac. I guess you were calling Mackie, and we both come in together. I'm like, I don't think this is a nice area.
But listen, and
nobody bothered us.
No, not at all.
Nobody bothered us.
It was run down. When you think of West Palm, you think of these beautiful houses, all that stuff.
But the people were nice. So,
but when we did go over to Tommy's studio,
that's the ultra rich section,
and the place we went out to dinner that night.
Oh, right on the ocean. That was beautiful. Yeah. That was beautiful. But I've been in Trendifier with Julian Dory. That's in South Jersey. I've been in Soft White Underbelly, which they filmed. So originally, Soft White Underbelly invited me to come out to L.A. And Charlie Cifarelli, Mike Dowd, and John Elite, they all did Soft White Underbelly in L.A. And they had told me they filmed right on Skid Row.
Yeah.
And the door's here, and Skid Row is right there. You have addicts walking in and out.
I hear a lot of L.A. is Skid Row now, too.
Yeah. Well, this is like traditional Skid Row. So this is the worst of the worst. And I didn't want to go out to LA. And listen, he offered to fly me out. Okay, but I didn't want to go out to LA. So he says, "You know what? I'm coming to New York." And I went in, I filmed that in New York. I recently did one with Sean Atwood. That was a Zoom one though.
The Kozo show too.
I did Joe Kozo. That was the first show I went on.
Yeah.
That was the first show, and I'm thankful that Joe put me on. That's all I'll say about that. Just thankful. So there's every studio I steal from. Like I don't physically steal. I don't physically
Take
steal
a microphone from this one.
Right. It's a souvenir. But I'm looking at the way they're doing things. I'm looking at where the cameras are set up, how the lighting is, how the questions are presented. What do they use? Do they use outlines like we use? Most people use the iPad.
Yeah.
Which I'm not a huge fan of. I still like pen. I put pen to paper. Even when I do the shows, even when I do the outlines, it's always pen to paper because there's a connection there to me.
I think one of the nicest studios we're in, the nicest setup was probably Tommy's.
Tommy's was really nice. He had top-notch everything.
Matt Cox was nice. It was in his house, though. You know, Tommy had the nice setup in the studio. It was a big studio. That was a fun one.
The nicest, Soft White Underbelly, which is a very, very large show. I was in a hotel room, and there's just curtains behind you.
Yeah.
You're in a hotel room. The cameras he was using, I know those lenses probably cost about $10,000. I know, because he's a photographer. Even Trendifier it was in his house, but it was a nice setup. It was a little warm in there. I wore like a nice shirt, and I had pit stains and stuff. It was disgusting. But everybody does a little bit different. Everybody asks questions a little bit different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's some people who they kind of know where they're going. They don't sort of put an outline together. I don't think I could work like that. I know Tommy did his research. I know Tommy did his research. Tommy
did his research because he was like, I see here you were an investigator. What was that like? I mean, he really looked us up.
Right.
He went on my LinkedIn and all. Not that I put anything on LinkedIn, but,
And those shows seem to do better.
Yeah.
The ones with some structure. Now, Matt, on the other hand, is sort of...
Matt was fly by the seat of your pants. Yeah. And it was good, though.
Yeah, it was good.
We had a lot of fun, but my only thing with Tommy's was long.
Tommy's was 3 hours.
We did like 3 hours in there.
I remember walking out of that studio going, oh.
And we went to dinner that night. That's the place we went to dinner on the beach.
Yeah.
The other place we went to the cigar place.
Yeah.
We went to dinner that night. There was like the five of us. It was me, you.
Oh,
Al,
yeah. There was a combined
Elite,
50
Cox.
years in prison in that room.
And two ex-cops.
Right. And two guys. By the way, I've heard things about. I've never worked with you. You never took a nickel, from what I understand. No. I was afraid to pick a quarter up off the ground. And we're sitting in the room. But that's the cool thing about podcasting, just to bring it all around. That's the cool thing about what we do. We can bring those people in here and meet somewhere in the middle, being retired.
One story about that. We went out to dinner. Remember, we were with the Ben Sachs kid.
Yep.
Yeah, we went out there was like 15 of us at a table eating dinner. And Elite and Dad are like, yeah, got it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, they walked out.
I go to the bathroom. Everybody's sitting outside. I go to the bathroom to walk out. The waitress stops me and says, sorry, you guys didn't pay your tab.
What? That was a taco place or something like that. Yeah, I forget the name. It was in Del Rey.
Yeah.
It was in Del Rey. So
that's when Chantel got a ride over there in that Ferrari.
Oh, yeah. So Chantel is like our little sister. All right. So we protect her like she is our sister. And while we were up recording
with Tommy,
she was on Tinder or whatever the heck dating app they're match.
Sitting in a bar on Tinder.
Yeah, a match or something. And some guy comes over and he looks like the biggest sleazeball in the world.
Driving a Ferrari.
And so we walk up, you and I walk up, and we sort of just give the guy a look. And I remember shaking the guy's hand. He puts out his hand. He was like one of these, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's going on? Shakes our hand. I grip his hand. I give him like the
death grip.
Don't fuck with me grip. And I just look at Chantel, you okay? And we waited outside for her. Yeah. But that's but you meet all these different people throughout this journey of podcasting, and it all started with episode 9. I mean, we're 90 episodes removed from that.
It's amazing, isn't it?
And we have a couple in the bank beyond here.
Yeah.
I mean, by the time season 2 ends, we're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 110. Season 2 is going to close in December, somewhere in that neighborhood.
And we have some good shows coming up.
We got some great shows coming up. So that's the difference now.
Yeah.
The difference now was where we would have to go look for people.
Now people are contacting us.
People are contacting us.
And you know what's great too? Former guests are getting people for us.
Before we leave, what if there was one guest that hasn't come back in any way, shape, or form that you wanted to get back in, who do you think it would be?
I'd like to get a couple. I'd like to talk to the guests to find out how we help them. I mean, we've had Gene back, but we had Gene
with John.
With John.
Yeah.
So we got to follow up with Gene.
And that's a 4-hour ride, so it's hard to ask Gene to do that stuff.
Billy Bart.
Billy Bart would be good. I haven't reached out to Billy Bart.
Neither have I. I'd love to see how he's doing.
Yeah. For me, it's Jay Ponte.
Yeah.
I want to get him back.
Let's get him back.
Get him back in here because there's some time that's been removed from that initial awkward first re-meet.
Yeah.
And I'd like to find out a little bit more about him. Maybe really get into it. Is there a guest that you would want to get in here? And I'm not talking a name. Like, I'm talking about somebody who you, Mike Failace, would want to get in here to talk to.
Jennifer Aniston.
God, why? Oh, my God. God, no.
Someone I'd like to get in here. I don't know. We've had a. How about Darryl Strawberry?
Darryl Strawberry would be a really, really good one.
Darryl Strawberry or Dwight Gooden. These are guys who've been through hell and back.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, Darryl Strawberry's got a suffering story, and look at him now. He's a ultra religious.
I think I'd like to talk to Joe Pistone, Donnie Brasco, just to hear his, and he's told his story so many times. It's not that, it's the angle that I would like to talk to him is when you were under and you laid your head on the pillow every night, not knowing if tomorrow was your day. How did you go to sleep?
Yeah.
And that's the question that I would like to ask him.
You know who else we got to get back on, or get back to? Not back on. We were this close to getting him. Jerry Spezial.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to Jerry. And Jerry,
he was a friend of the show for a while. I mean, we were texting back and forth all the time.
I would reach out to him.
I want to come on, I want to come on, and he just never did.
So we got all this different stuff coming on, moving on in the future, moving onward and upward, and let's get down to the grassroots of what this is, this podcast, and listening to all this suffering and the suffering of episode 9, how it all started. What do you think this journey has taught you?
You never know how bad someone has it. There's a saying, it says something like, you don't know what someone's going through, so like be nice every day. You see someone and they're happy-go-lucky, and you don't know what their real story is. Tara Matalone, for one. Unfortunately, I see Tara almost every day now. But I never knew all the suffering that she went through. And she's got such a great outlook and a great attitude on everything. I mean, you never know what someone's going through or what they went through.
Here's what I've learned. When you were in your darkest times, when I was in my darkest times, it would have been real easy just to give up and to quit. Early on in this show, there had been times when I get a little downtrodden, maybe an episode doesn't do very well, it bruises your ego a little bit, and it would have been very easy to say, you know what?
Fuck it.
Well, I'm done. But we never quit.
No.
We never once quit. We never gave up. We always kept pushing forward.
Because we got the same attitude. We're not quitters. We're going to take something on, we take the bull by the horns and let's go.
And I would love to do this show for as long as people want to listen or willing to listen. Until somebody kicks us off the air, I'm willing to go.
Well, you do have that picture of us with the beards and everything, so we could use it.
The Depama app? The Depama app. Who, listen, Mike is, I love Mike to death. He's one of us now. I mean,
without doubt.
He's the unofficial third co-host.
And listen, he was instrumental in getting Dental Development started. Yeah. And that's another thing that came out of this show.
Yeah, our nonprofit.
Dental Development Project.
Yeah.
We haven't done that much with it lately, but we're still, we've given out.
It's there and it's in place for those in need.
Yeah, exactly.
And we've made all these different connections.
Yeah.
One of the most beneficial connections recently is Irish Angel.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about how to run a nonprofit? That's where I'm watching.
Yeah.
I'm watching how they do it because they got it.
Without a doubt.
And they got a lot of people.
Yeah.
Mike,
Kev, I just want it is a pleasure coming up here. I think you're doing a great job with this.
I think I can't do it without you, bro.
You really are. You're doing a great job. Like I said, you are the pioneer of this. You're the brains behind this operation. I'm just the pretty or ugly face, whichever way you want to say it. But it's a pleasure coming up here all the time. We hooked up with Andrew with A&J Media, and Andrew's the best. He really is. He does so much for us.
He's always willing to go the extra mile. Him and Katia, his wife. I mean, they took us in, they treat us like family. And as long as they'll have us,
we're here.
Yeah. Because my goal with A&J Media, and I'm going to throw this out to Andrew right now, is one room is going to be strictly ours.
Our room. Yeah.
Our room. That's ours.
So when people come in, they see it, you could say, oh, that's a Suffering Podcast.
Yeah, we don't go there. We don't
like
go
with
there.
WFAN, the Mike Failace studio.
Yeah, that's ours. The Siegfried and Roy Theater. But before we go, I did give a window into our first picture together as podcasters. And it's you and I standing together for episode 9. And I think that's a good place to leave it.
I remember exactly what I was wearing.
Yes, you.
I had the hat on backwards, and I had my...
Was Notre Dame, was it?
Notre Dame, yeah.
Notre Dame, yeah.
Play like a champion today.
And I had a black shirt on, and unfortunately, I didn't wear any podcast gear that day. That was like one of the few times I didn't.
We didn't have podcast gear back then.
I think I had like a printed sweatshirt that I got offline or got online or something.
Now we have T-shirts. Now we have hooded sweatshirts, regular sweatshirts.
Just go on to sufferingpodcast.com. You can find all that stuff.
Yeah, we should buy some of our merchandise, please.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast.
9D9.
The Suffering of 9D9.
Crazy.
And let's think about all the stuff that we learned. Mike, I'm going to let you go first on this one.
You know what? Just keep pushing along. You know, like you said, there's times we want to quit. There's times you want to quit in anything. There's times we want to quit in a podcast. But to me, it's just the positive feedback that we're getting. You know, I feel like we owe it to people now. You know, because it's helping people. You know, and that's what I say. I honestly believe that we owe it to our listeners to keep pushing forward and moving on.
I think what I've learned is anything in the world is possible. When I was a little kid, I never thought I was going to do my own show or anything like that. You're talking to the shampoo bottle in the shower or something like that. You try to be a broadcaster for sports radio. But I never thought I was going to do my own show. But through perseverance, through hard work, through never quitting, and through constant self-education and just moving forward, overcoming those obstacles, overcoming the suffering, you can pretty much do anything. Well,
you know, and the other thing is you learn from the ups and the downs.
Yes, and onward and upward.
Yep.
So we'll see you for another special episode on episode 999.
Oh, could you imagine?
Yeah.
And we'll be in wheelchairs. Andrew will have to get a studio on the first floor.
And that's going to do it for this episode of the Suffering Podcast, the Suffering of 9D9. That's episode 99. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram. Follow Mike at Mike_Failace. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson. And as always, follow the Suffering Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode of the Suffering Podcast.